Okay, ladies and gentlemen, once again, we are here another Sunday. Let me just check my phone that I got it off. Yes, another Sunday, another week, the beginning of another month, and it's welcome to On the Sofa with yours truly, Esther Austin. I just feel like there's a lot of sun, there's a lot of light in my face. I've been trying to adjust things so that it doesn't blind me in my right eye. Anyway, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are or across the globe. I hope you have had, well, shall I say, I hope you've had a good week, whatever that means, whatever has happened. I hope you found some meaning to it. I hope you found some answers. I hope you've rested. Whatever the week has held for you, I hope you have. I just hope that today is a day of rest, and as we keep moving forward. Now, this week I've had a very interesting week, very intense. A lot has happened. And in the midst of it all, I have really had to hone in on a strength that is just part of me now. But also, I had to reach out to a few people around me in one instantaneous moment on Wednesday night. Something happened, and you get a phone call from your child, and then the phone goes dead. It's sometimes when you see these things in the movies, it brings this reality check to you. It's like, wow. But I may or may not share about that experience. But all I can say is, in that split moment, I felt myself go into a place of, okay, what do I need to do at this moment in time? I had to kick into gear. And for me, oftentimes, I just have to reach out to a few people around me to say, and then I can just do the rest of what I need to do on my own. I'm pretty much that way. So I'll share as I go along. But also, interestingly, 2 days prior to Wednesday, there was an accident at the top of my road. And then yesterday, I got up to a bam and a car had tipped over in the middle of the road. The guys were fine, they crawled out. And for some reason, it just reminded me of the apocalypse. Yeah, but I'll share more. I'll share more. Anyway, without further ado, on my show this evening, I've got two incredible people. Everyone who comes on my show are incredible. The first half of the show, I will be talking to Craig McMullen. Craig McMullen. He was a guitarist with Curtis Mayfield for many years. And so I'm going to be talking about his journey with Curtis, playing with Curtis Mayfield. And his experience and what he brings to the table. There's a bump of knowledge that he brings to the table, and he really has some credits to his name because he's a guitarist, and he's played on Superfly. Sorry, someone is calling me. They should know that on a Sunday night the only place to be is on the Sofa with Esther. So anyway, I will be interviewing Craig McMullen soon. And then on the other side of the show, I will be talking to Tony Lindsay, who was lead singer or lead vocalist with Santana for I believe it's over 25 years. And I'll be playing one of his latest tracks as well. So lots of good stuff as we go through the evening. And what I would like to share with you is that, sometimes in the midst of things, as we know, you have darkness, you have light, you have up, you have down. And aside from what's happened last week, I had the privilege because I worked over the weekend and I got some new trainers. I got some Air Force Ones. Didn't even know about them. I'm just, I just need a pair of trainers that's comfortable so I can run. But I was gifted a pair of trainers as part of the work that I was doing. And then throughout the day, as I supported different customers, a customer gifted me with something else. I was able to get myself some nice lunch, and the blessings kept on coming forward. And so in those moments when sometimes life throws things at us and it seems to be upside down, we have to, I'll just suggest that you hold on to the notion, set the intention that everything's going to be okay. This thing shall pass, this time shall pass. We will get through this. Because there's always blessings on the other side. And in life, as I said, you have the up and down. And in the middle, what you get balance. You get balance, or you get awareness, or you get some sort of message that maybe you didn't see before, whatever it is. So whatever you're going through at this moment in time, just know that if you open your eyes wide enough through the pain, through the stress, through the challenge, there's always a little blessing sitting there that keeps you topped up. Okay, so without further ado, we're going to go over to some trailers. And also, On the Sofa with Esther is on a new platform. We are now streaming live on HVTV. It's a fantastic platform for indie artists, so check that out. Check out the app HVTV. A really, really fantastic and stunningly, the presentation is absolutely fantastic. So check that out. And also on LN Soul Radio, lots of good things coming up and coming your way over the next few weeks. One of them is going to be a music video show presented by Anthony B. Williams, yours truly, Esther Austin, and KJ. So indie artists, if you want to get your music videos out, there's a new TV style music video show coming your way soon. Details can be found on LN Soul Radio, and also from next week, they're going to be on my show. So without further ado, I'm going to go over to playing a track by, who should we buy? Superfly by Curtis Mayfield, because what's his name? Craig McMullen was a guitarist with Curtis Mayfield.
There's a set going strong, a lot of things going on. The man of the hour has an air of great power. The dudes have envied him for so long. Oh, Superfly, you're gonna make your fortune by and by. But if you lose, don't ask no questions why. The only game you know is do or die. Hard to understand, but a hell of a man. This cat of the slum had a mind, wasn't dumb, but a weakness was shown, cause his hustle was wrong. His mind was his own, but the man lived alone. Ooh, Superfly, you're gonna make your fortune by and by. But if you lose, don't ask no questions why. The only game you know is do or die. The game he plays for keys. Hustling times in ghetto streets, trying to get over. That's what they're trying to do, y'all. Taking all that he can take, gambling with the odds of fate, trying to get over, trying to get over, trying to get over, trying to get over. Ooh, Superfly.
Okay, there we go, playing out in the background, ladies and gentlemen, Superfly, and on the show with me, I have Craig McMullen. Craig?
How are you doing?
Yes, I can hear you. You know, sometimes you hold your breath just in case you can't hear your guest. So, fabulous. Well, Craig, I'd just like to say a huge thank you for joining me on the show, on the Sofa with Esther. I know it's going to be an interesting conversation because I've looked at what you've sent through, and your list of credits is like, wow.
I have one question to ask you, Miss Esther.
Yes, go ahead.
I got all excited about being on the couch with Esther, but then I said, we got to keep this PG. So, like, I have to get over that part and understand that not this time or any other time, it's just part of the title name, and it sounds so comfortable. I don't want anybody out there in your audience to think that I'm perverted any kind of way. But looking at you, I'm sure that all the guys could agree that if they had a chance to sit down next to you on the couch, they would be most enjoyable about that part anyway. But anyway, it's lovely to see you and all of your audience in the UK and whoever else is in the United States. We'll make sure we get them together on a rebroadcast or whatever. But I'll stop talking. I'll let you tell me, what would you like to know?
Well, thank you for that intro. It's funny because I was debating whether to use that image or not. And because usually when I do anything, I send it around to people from different backgrounds just to get their take. And this particular picture came up tops, both with men and women. So, yeah, the couch is a very cozy place, and I'm sure that you will find some space in your own place to get comfortable as well.
Yes, I'm good right now. Just being with you, I'm honored again. I'd like to say that I'm very honored to be able to be on your show, whether it's the couch, the floor, the kitchen, just in case we get hungry, the ice box, whatever. I'm just glad of that.
Oh, fantastic. Well, Craig, I usually ask my guests before I go into the conversation or interview, in a nutshell, in a peanut shell, usually look like a crab shell. Who is Craig McMullen?
Well, Craig McMullen is a guy that became a guitarist that was fortunate enough to be able to play on Superfly, play with Aretha Franklin, play with a whole bunch of people. And that's the basics of it in short. But now, if I had never made it to that height, I think I still would have been a good guitarist because I played since I was 7 years old. My uncle, if I can start there.
You can indeed.
Okay. My uncle, which is my mother's sister's husband, and my aunt is Dolores, and my uncle is Jesse Willis from Detroit, Michigan. And I used to go and spend every summer in Detroit. And this particular time when I was 7 years old, my mom and I went up there, and she and my aunt went to the store. But my uncle, who actually drove a bus for the DSR, what they call that, it's like he's a bus driver for Detroit Streets and Rails. Anyway, he played guitar, but he never played in a band. He just happened to have a guitar, and he taught himself, and he could read and everything. So he taught me how to play the song Honky Tonk, which was the first time I touched the guitar. And by the time they came back from the store, I was able to play that. So I told my mom at 7, hey, when we get back, I want to start taking guitar lessons. So kind of like fast forward at 8, I turned 8 in November, we did that. And I started taking lessons. And every summer I was up there, my uncle would always teach me theory, chords and stuff, taught me more so how to read music along with whatever my guitar teacher was doing here. I live in Columbus, Ohio, just in case for the people out there in the UK. I live in Columbus, Ohio, and that was my beginning. And then after that, I was in a jazz band at high school. The high school I went to, if I can say this, the high school I went to, which was Columbus East High School, it was one of the great, well, I guess to be politically correct, and I'll just put like, it was one of the great black high schools in Columbus, Ohio. You get my drift.
Okay,
Anyway, we had the best basketball team. They won state championships, the whole 9 yards. And we also had the best jazz band. So when I was in the 10th grade, I made, along with 3 other my classmates, made all-city jazz orchestra that was being conducted at that time by the famous, I don't know about the people in the UK, but everybody in the United States knows, the conductor named Doc Severinsen, who was the head of the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson for years and years. Anyway, at that time, he was the conductor, but they used the arrangements from our director, which is named Ted Turner. The great Ted Turner was our musical conductor and arranger for everything at our high school. And that's basically, I had a jump as far as being in the 10th grade. That's my first year of high school, making all city. So after that, it's a wrap. Then I go fast forward a little bit if I can. And then after that, I graduated at 17. I went to Berklee College of Music, and most people know about Berklee College of Music in Boston. I was there for about a year. I didn't really work out so much for that. I liked the school, but I didn't like the environment of Boston. I don't have to tell you guys in London about environments. We're not going to get into that, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Okay. So therefore, I came back and started into apprenticeship program in which I was along with another partner of mine. We were Lemuel Sherrill. We were the first two blacks ever admitted into the what they call the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. In other words, into the union to be apprentice and then going to be journeyman. So in other words, as long as electricity's been around, this is the first time. This is about 1967, I say. This is the first time that they've ever allowed we blacks to be in for training. So that lasted about a year or two. I was always going to school, but I was always playing with other bands, etc. And that doesn't work out because some mornings I just didn't want to go do that construction work. So anyway, they let me go, which is better known as I got fired. Because we were into a situation where what we call here the Urban League, which is it's like your NAACP, and a guy named Mr. Laurie. Now this is the point that's kind of important. The man, Mr. Laurie, he told me, he said, look, you and Lemuel, we worked so hard to get you guys in, and you messed this up. He said, what are you going to do now? I'm young. I said, I'm going to be a musician. I went to college to be a musician. I'm a guitarist. I'm going to be a musician. He told me, Mr. Laurie from the Urban League, told me, you will never be nothing as a musician. You will never be nothing as a musician. You just messed up. Fast forward a little bit. Okay. Then after that, around about 19, I met, and the way I got in with Curtis Mayfield and Impressions now, this is before Curtis solo, I had to give it to my buddy, Andre Fisher, which everybody knows as the drummer with Rufus and also the guy that married Natalie Cole, and they won Grammy for the album of the year. But prior to all that, who was from Los Angeles, came to Columbus with another R&B band, and they were playing at this club. And so we became good friends. And when that band, usually those bands might have a one-hit thing, and something happens on the road, R&B stuff, guys. And so he ended up living here for a while. But we always said as young guys, man, we're going to play on the big stage together one day. And so when he had a chance, he left Columbus, and he went to San Francisco to do a play. And the Impressions, that's with Curtis, Fred, and Sam, they were looking for a drummer out there, and they got Andre. So then to fast forward a little bit, when it came time, they were looking for a guitar player. Andre suggested to Curtis that he call me. And so Curtis sent for me, and this is in 1970. Curtis sent for me. Naturally, I aced all the songs, and that's how I got in with Curtis and the Impressions. And then if I fast forward a little bit more, when Curtis decided to go solo, Hudson took Curtis's place because let me back that up. Curtis wanted to run the company a little bit more, so that's why he kind of like quit going on the road. But when he had cut Curtis, the album Curtis, it was such a hit that naturally you got to go back out and back it up. So at that point, what he did, he took Andre as a drummer. Actually, it's the same band they had with the Impressions, except for the keyboard player. They took Andre Fisher on drums, Joseph Lucky Scott, who's the bass player that you hear playing with me on all the stuff, and then Master Henry Gibson, who's a percussionist that played on everybody's stuff, Chicago, whatever he did. He's in the Guinness Book of Records for playing on the most albums as a percussionist. At least that's what they say. But anyway, that was the very first Curtis Mayfield band. And then because Andre was also playing with a local group called Rufus, it's actually called Ask Rufus. But then guy Charlie Colbert, he was a male vocalist in there. And everybody knows Rufus was predominantly, most of the guys in there were white guys, which has got nothing to do with the music. I'm just saying the layout of it. But Charlie also had accounts for doing commercials in Chicago, like with Sears and different things like that. So I was always going to Chicago also and recording with the Rufus band doing these commercials. So when they got a chance to go to ABC, Paulette McWilliams, she left to go sing back up with Luther Vandross, but she suggested Shaka, who was playing another local band in Chicago. So they got Shaka. Then they went to ABC out there in Los Angeles. The rest is history as far as that goes. But the very first band of Curtis solo always ended up being the guys that were playing with the Impressions. And the Impressions ended up getting another band itself, you know. But at the same time, after that, Rufus got big and Andre couldn't really play both ways. So he ended up just going with Rufus, which I don't blame him. And then we ended up getting Tyrone McMullen. That was the drummer that you hear on the live album. And then that went through everything up into the Superfly stuff.
Okay.
We're playing on Push It Man, but Morris Jennings is a drummer that played on every song on Superfly album soundtrack except for Push It Man, and that's the live scene that you see in the movie.
The movie. Okay. Well, what I'm going to do, Craig, I'm just going to stop you there because I can feel your passion, and I just want to like I say, as we say in the UK, stick a pin for a minute because
Right.
I want to unravel some of what you've shared, because obviously you've had a really eclectic career. You've worked with some real major artists, producers. You know, there's this real nice eclectic roundness to your experience.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can go back a bit, you know, from the age of 7, you've had this knowing that you wanted to get into music. So when you were told that you would never amount to nothing, how did you feel? I mean, were you already in this place within yourself that said, that's fine, I'm going to do it anyway? Or did it, I mean, how did it feel? Did it bring out the rebel in you? Yeah.
I'm too cool to be a rebel. You know?
Oh,
no, but definitely it, because of the fact that I was already playing. I was playing with a local group, one of the local groups. They called the Enchanted Five. They were like the Temptations. So at that time, we were playing around making money. So by him telling me that about you're never going to be anything, I'm already making money anyway. So like, you're not telling me anything. I'm just doing what I like to do, not going out there working construction and climbing these tall buildings, laying pipe for electrical and running your electrical wires and possibility of getting shocked, you know. But, you know, so I didn't take it bad. I just felt like he didn't know what he was talking about. But then I said to myself, well, I'm going to have to prove him wrong too. And ironically, his secretary, when Superfly movie came out and it was playing here in my city, she told him, you know, when you told Craig he was never going to be nothing, well, right now he's in a movie called Superfly that's playing downtown. It's a big time movie. So there you go with your turnaround for that, you know.
Excellent. Well, I just want to say thank you, or a hello and a welcome to some people who have joined us on the show. Humble Vibes Television, I'd like to say a big thank you to you because I've just partnered with Humble Vibes Television. It's a really stunning presentation. It's an app, HVTV, and it's a great place for indie artists. So I'm going to recommend that if you are an indie artist, head over to Humble Vibes Television or HVTV, the app. Download it and sign up. It's a really stunning platform. I'd like to say thank you to Marcella, or hello to Marcella Oliver, and then to someone who's just coming up as a Facebook user. Hello, Facebook user, from myself and Craig. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm interviewing Craig McMullen. I had got your name wrong on a promo video last week. I had to change that ASAP. Who was once the guitarist, who played with Curtis Mayfield, and he has, as you can hear, he's got an incredible story to share. He's got incredible experiences, and he's still passionate about music. And also, he's studying now. He started studying, so we're going to capture all of that from this gentleman soon. But what we're going to do now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go over to a short break, and then on the other side, we're going to come back to listening more from this incredible gentleman. And what I'm going to play now, Craig, is an excerpt from Places and Spaces. Can you tell us a little bit more about that before I go into playing the track?
That is an album by the trumpeter named Donald Byrd, who's very famous. And this is what you call, before the term smooth jazz was inundated through the airways, etc. we were playing with live musicians, the type of music that Places and Spaces is. But this was what you call your forerunner. Also, that this became Billboard's, I think it was 1976, #1 jazz album in that particular category. And this is Donald Byrd, Places and Spaces. And also, I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I made up this intro because I say that because I did it. But that's part of being a studio musician, to come in with something that's not really written, and hopefully that'll help propel it to be a hit. So I'll let you go ahead and play it.
Brilliant. And it's not about being big-headed. I think sometimes we have to own our stuff, because we just got to own it. So ladies and gents, I'm talking to Craig McMullen, and we are now going to go over to this incredible track. See you on the other side.
Places and spaces I've been. All the 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 places and spaces I've been.
Okay. Loving that. I just loving the vibe. I mean, when you listen to this music, what are the memories that it brings back, Craig? And I guess I'd love to understand, in the production and the putting together of this, what was that like?
Well, to be honest with you, I think back, and that the Mizell brothers, and I got to go real quick on this for you. The Mizell brothers, along with Freddie Perrin, they were part of what you call the corporation that wrote all the songs for the Jackson 5, ABC, and all that stuff. So as they got away from Motown, Freddie went over to Capitol Records, etc., and we'll get into him later with the Boogie Fever stuff. But then also that the Mizells went to Blue Note, and that quickly I'll just say some of the great musicians I was playing with, like household names like Chuck Rainey on bass, Harvey Mason on drums, John Rowan was the other guitarist, and Skip Scarborough played keyboards. But Skip was the one that wrote a lot of the Earth, Wind, and Fire stuff. People, you can just go ahead and look up the credits, so I don't have to say so much right here. But that was it. And that the Mizell brothers were very, very easy to work with. They weren't pressurizing type of situation. And we actually had fun. And that's basically when you have fun and you don't have that pressure situation. I've been under pressure, what they call pressure. It didn't bother me, but that's why these guys was like what I call, they was loose. And so therefore you felt like, man, you could do certain things and create very well, and you could hear it in the vibe. And I think that's what's missing sometimes in modern music now, that there's so much sequencing going on and somebody doing their own tracks that you never get the personalities of the music that
Absolutely.
comes through that helps make music be music. So that's why like Places and Spaces are excellent, what you call driving down the road tune. Also, if I can inject right fast, like for those that like the rap stuff with Tupac, if you turn around and check out Late Night, you'll find that the song on this particular album called Wind Parade is the exact track that Tupac and DJ Quick used, playing it all the way through, just rapping on top of it. So I just thought I'd throw that in, that the relationship between the rappers and what they call old school or OGs like me is still happening.
Oh, geez. Or what about us cats? Because when I went to LA last year, the year before, went out with a couple of the artists. We went out to meet others, and they're all like, that's one of my cats. And I'm like, what's that? So that's that sort of formality between artists. Brilliant. And you've got an incredible memory. I mean, sometimes I can just about remember what happened last year, but you've got the memory and the detail. And I guess part of that memory is because you were so entrenched in the music scene. And so moving forward in terms of you performing with Curtis Mayfield, what was Curtis like to be around?
Again, Curtis was like one of the easiest guys to get along with.
Mm.
Don't think that we didn't have little difficulties at certain times throughout my 3-4 years with him. I'm not saying that, but I'll put it like this. We would be on stage and it got to a point where we're going to bet who's going to mess up. Well, it's not going to be me. It's not going to be Lucky. It's definitely not going to be Master Henry. So it was always between Curtis and Tyrone. So we would be playing, and then Tyrone might mess up something. Of course, the audience couldn't tell, but we could tell. So we didn't do that James Brown thing where you get fined. We just started laughing and counting. Then maybe Curtis would do something. But after the show, we just laughed, and it was fun, and we still had the groove. I mean, I can show you stuff on the live album that would be considered what I consider, we kind of goofed at a little bit, but the public would never know it. But he was never critical, and his favorite thing was, just do your thing, cat, just do your thing. So that gave us freedom. So like, if you listen to Lucky Scott's bass line and Master Henry and myself, we're doing our thing because we didn't have any restrictions, but we were part of the creative part of the actual rhythm section. So that's how things work. He was cool. Not an angel now, but I can't say anything bad. I'm glad. I mean, I would do it over and over again with him, no problem.
Mm-hmm. And you okay, so you've said that about Curtis and your experience of working with him. So what was it? Because I remember when I interviewed Martha High, who actually played with James Brown for over 40 years, and she's now known. He was known as the hardest working man in the industry, and she's now known as the hardest working woman in the industry. And she shared about some of the attributes that she took away from working with him. So what were some of the attributes or those what were some of the attributes and values that you were able to take away from working with Curtis?
Well, one thing about Curtis, probably, let's see, you got to go. I was with him from 70, but the actual first Curtis live album was cut in 71. So what I was saying was that a lot of times you would see R&B acts go out on the road. They would have what you call a backup band, but that backup band never had a chance, or they weren't considered to be good enough to go in and record. Curtis allowed us as a backup band, but he took us into the studio. So we're all one. He never made that, well, I'm gonna call this triple scale session guy to do this, and then I'm gonna go out here on the road and perform with these other guys. He never really did that. And that's one thing I liked about that. In other words, like he was able to like incorporate us in. So what I got out of that, I had an earlier experience of recording as a musician and hearing myself on radio, which naturally I could critique myself. I knew what my tone was. I knew certain things. And every time I would play, besides getting paid, I would always try to make myself do something that would help along. And I'm a team player. So whatever I'm doing, I don't have to always do certain licks or something like that. Whatever it takes to make this thing become a hit, because it's a business. Most promoters or producers, they want a hit record, and that's why they hire who they hire. So, but with Curtis being Mr. Everything, he allowed us to be able to be that part of the foundation for his music, and I love that part about him.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Answered very well, Curtis. Answered, not Curtis, sorry, Craig. Answered very well. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My
You
little
good?
British accent. And what were some of those? I mean, you shared about the moments when when you had the laughter and when you just turned things around. Can you share a particular situation where um, you had to really come together as a group? Something that was quite, because you mentioned sort of loosely about obviously being a certain color and some of the challenges that you might have faced. I mean, you sort of loosely alluded to that. So can you share one of those moments when, because of the color of your skin, you had to, or the band had to really hold their own?
Well, okay, since you put it that way,
Yeah, I was trying to be very diplomatic
yeah,
with how
I
I
got you. You know, long as we PD, I'm gonna try to keep this, PG as much as possible. But I have to go back to when we were with the Impressions. That's Curtis, Fred, and Sam. We were
mm,
driving back, and we're going through West Virginia, and so it was late at night, and we come to like a they didn't have truck stops then. They had rest spots or restaurant spots. And
mhm,
we're in the hills of West Virginia. I don't know about your listeners knowing about West Virginia, but look it up on the map. But anyway, West Virginia is like, it's not a fair assumption, but they always want to say the bunch of hillbillies down there, but that's not true. That's just the way word gets spread. So my point being is that it's no different than being sometimes in the South. So late at night, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, these black guys show up and want to come in and eat at your restaurant because it's open all night because it's on the highway, blah, blah, blah.
mm,
And the owner, as we walk in, we're hungry. We've been traveling. I think we was coming from New York or something. And the owner says, we don't serve no N-words. See, I'm going to be right about it. I'm not going to say what he said, but
yeah,
everybody knows how to spell. We
mm,
don't serve no N-words up in here.
mm,
Oh, okay. Well, then we definitely don't need to be eating here, you know. And I think the keyboard player said, and we don't eat them either. And then he walked out. Then the keyboard player, Melvin, he was kind of wild. He turned around and mooned the guy, you know. So I'm like, oh, we better hurry up and get out of here before the state patrol come because you've heard all them stories about catching black people on the highway late at night. I just didn't want to experience any of that possibility, but that was one time. But basically, with Curtis, at that time, I really didn't run across a lot of it per se, at least nothing I could remember, and definitely not nothing as funny as what I just told you. So,
okay, okay, okay. Okay, brilliant, brilliant. Well, what we're going to do now, Tony Lindsay's on already. Wow, maybe he could join us so we can, this is interesting. This has happened quite a few times. And, usually then we have this incredible, two incredible legends on the same show together, sharing, and it's been fantastic because a couple of months ago, I sort of made the mistake. Well, people say there's no such thing as mistakes. It's all about synchronicity. And I was interviewing someone called Diane Mathis, who was backing singer for Ray Charles and all those incredible artists. And then I saw in the lineup, I saw everybody who I'd asked who I was going to interview throughout the span of the show lining up. I'm like, oh my days, how do I manage this? And so I just invited everybody on, and we had such a blast. It was such a blast. And then another time it happened, I had the Whispers on. I had the gentleman that used to play with Ike and Tina Turner, and I had the Ebonies, and the Ebonies didn't want to leave. The guys from Ike and Tina Turner, no, the gentleman that sang with Jimmy Thomas that sang with Ike and Tina was saying, oh man, to the Ebonies, I used to listen to you when I was growing up. And then the Ebonies were saying to the Whispers, oh man, when you come to Philadelphia, we're on front row. And then the Whispers were saying to Jimmy Thomas, oh man, what was it like to play with Tina? And it was
I got one quick story to tell you. It'll take about 15 seconds. When I left Curtis to go to Los Angeles, because that's when the migration of all the guys from Detroit, Chicago, everybody was moving to Los Angeles. Okay, the band that the Impressions ended up having with Leroy Hudson had a trumpet player named Claude in it. So he ended up playing with Ike and Tina Turner because he moved to Los Angeles also. So when I called him I told him I was coming into town. As soon as I landed on the plane and got to my aunt's house, it was probably about 11. Then Claude calls me back about 2 o'clock. He says, "Hey man, Ike wants to know, would you come down and do some recording for him?" Well, I just got off the plane. I'm looking for, some type of income being a musician. So I said, yeah, he said, I'll come by and pick you up. So I went down there. He picked me up, took me down to Ike's studio, Bolic Sound, tremendous, beautiful studio. We stayed there till, as they call it, the break of dawn. And then Ike paid me. And regardless of what people might want to make a joke about, I got paid in money. Okay, so let's get that straight about Ike. I got paid in money. So don't you guys go off talking that other kind of stuff, because it didn't happen with me like that. But that's my Ike Turner story. He was the first person that paid me when I got to Los Angeles. It was 4 o'clock in the morning. I didn't care. Your musicians don't care. They 24/7,
You just want your money.
But it was fun playing with Ike because, Ike was the first one to make the first rock and roll record. Rocket 88 is considered the first rock and roll record, although it was under the name of Springsteen, but that was the saxophone player in Ike's band. So Ike played all the parts and everything else and recorded down there at Sun Studio. People have to do the little history to check that out, but I'm not going to go into that. But just let you know that you have to respect Ike for being the first one to do what they call rock and roll record.
Wow. And what's incredible, I call you elephant brain, because there's another gentleman that I've interviewed over the years, John Sly Wilson from Sly, Slick and Wicked. And, he's just got this incredible bank of, knowledge and memory of artists before that and all those connections. So that's absolutely fine. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to play another of your track. And then on the other side, I have Tony Lindsay. He's waiting in the shadows in the background. So ladies and gents, you are listening to On the Sofa with yours truly, Esther Austin.
What you getting ready to play anyway?
Sorry?
What you getting ready to play?
What is this one that I've got lined up? Well, I'll play it and then you can tell us after. What do you think about that?
I thought you were going to play that funky tune. If it don't fit, don't force it. Go ahead. Y'all let you do you.
Okay, so on the other side, I'll bring Tony Lindsay into the studio as well. So ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to On the Sofa with yours truly, Esther Austin. And I've got two incredible artists with me today, Craig McMullen, and then on the other side, I will be talking to Tony Lindsay. Thank you.
Watch a while, you see he never smiled. Broken home, father gone, mama tired, so is all alone. Kinda sad, child, thinking he's been had. In the back of his mind he said, didn't have to.
Okay, well, I'm gonna bring Tony into the studio.
Can you hear me?
What's up, Tony?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. Nice, I can. Yes.
Craig McMullen, are you kidding me?
Hey, Tony, what's up, man?
Oh my God.
My first time meeting you, man. Like, can I get your autograph later?
No. I want your autograph.
I'm out of blank checks, man. So, I don't know what to say. Maybe
That's okay.
Esther let us use one of her blank checks or something.
Oh man. Wow.
Wow.
See there, I mean, listening to all of the Curtis Mayfield and all that stuff, I'm like, wow, this is some serious history you got here, Esther.
Absolutely. And I've got that serious history in the room. And that's why I love doing what I do, because this happens all the time. This happens a lot. I mean, at the end of this month, I usually interview indie artists at the end of the month. And I remember I had interviewed an indie artist some months ago, and he said one of my heroes is Gerald Alston from the Manhattans. So I said, Gerald, okay. I said, there's an indie artist that would love to be on the same show as you. So at the end of the month, I've got Babe Wright, and he's going to be on the sofa with Gerald Alston and the Manhattans. And and a couple of months ago, I had Charles Wright from the 103, the 103rd. What I always get that wrong.
Yeah.
Watts 103rd Street Rhythm Band.
Oh.
That's right. He co-hosted a show with me, and I had about 3 other indie artists on. And when they came on, they were like, "Oh my God, sir, we're so honored." So it's about making people's dreams come true as well. And it's also for me, old school meets new school. Let's bring it together.
Yeah, I tell I look at the younger ones look at me as the old guy now, but I always tell them, you know what, the all this new music that you think you're hearing, you listen to the old stuff, and you're gonna find that's where it came from.
Absolutely. Well, let me do a proper intro for Tony. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as I say, you're listening to On the Show with Esther this evening, and I've been talking to Craig McMullen, and we'll be dipping into you, Craig, if you don't mind hanging around. Tony, if you don't mind.
Please.
Yeah, I got to.
I want to hear some more history from him.
I want to hear stuff from Tony. Are you in Los Angeles? I mean, are you in California?
I live in. I'm in San. I'm actually right at my studio right now because I'm working on some stuff. I'm in San Francisco.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I love the Bay Area, man. I love it up here. It's I like being the big fish in the little pond, as they say.
I heard that.
Excellent.
Plus, it's everybody's really nice up here, and I have musician friends that are, actually friends instead of, some of these places where you live, people want to be associated and affiliated with you because they're looking for something out of you.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But we got some real friends here in the Bay Area, so it works out really cool for me. I came out here from New York, and I've been here for 41 years now. I love it out here.
Oh,
man.
wow. Wow. So, Tony, if I may ask you, as I've asked Craig, who is Tony Lindsay in a nutshell, in a peanut shell?
Oh, God.
Or a coconut shell? Who is Tony Lindsay?
I'm just a cat that just loves I love what I do. I've been doing music. I've been actually singing since I was 7 years old, and it chose me. I didn't choose it, and I always knew where my path was, and I always stayed in my lane. Because once you try to get out of that lane, sometimes there's some weird stuff that happens. So it's like we all have a certain path that's laid out for us, and if we follow that path, it's going to take us right to where we need to be.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because Craig also said that he started singing at 7. So there's that correlation.
Oh, wow.
And what I'd like to ask both of you, if I may present this to you, both of you, is, when you sing, when you're up on stage, where do you go? Because music is so many different things to people. But when you are performing, what does that feel like? I'll ask you first, Tony.
That on stage is my comfort zone, and I really don't think about a whole lot of what I'm doing. I like being spontaneous and whatever comes out, because if you have in mind what you're going to do, what you're going to play, what you're going to sing, you're putting yourself in a little box. And I like playing with live musicians because, you know, a keyboard, and Craig could tell you, a keyboard player or a guitar player, somebody could play a different chord or do something different. It's going to make you think different and go in a different direction.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that kind of stuff.
Brilliant. And Craig, can I ask you the same thing?
Yeah, I think I'm like Tony. Once I'm on the stage and they're not throwing any tomatoes and rocks at me, then I get a little bit more comfort.
There you go.
Playing, if I can say that. But I put it like this. When I go to the stage, I plan to rock it up. And I don't mean it in like individually. I'm talking about I'm a team player. So if I can say this, like when I play with Aretha Franklin, you know, I played on a couple of albums, but playing with Aretha Franklin, with James Jamerson, the James Jamerson, I mean, I'm gonna let you know, it, as they say, excuse my language, it don't get no better than that. I mean, James Jamerson playing with you with Aretha Franklin, and both of them is kicking at 120 miles an hour. I mean, team-wise, don't get me wrong, team-wise, I mean, that is some of the best times that I've had as far as playing, other than the studio stuff, don't get me wrong, but that's just one example. And so therefore, you don't think about anything except making that music really good. And it's almost like Tony could probably attest to this, that if you people don't clap, you guys got a hole in your soul, as they would say.
That's right.
You know, because we done laid this thing down, and you know, Tony can tell you, you know, when you could sometimes hit the first few notes of the intro, and you can tell, man, it's gonna be a pocket on this bad boy. The sound system is right, the stuff is kicking back at you through the monitors, and man, it's nothing but straight free highway. We're gonna do this. So that's part of the musician's thing. As long as he got his head straight, man. Don't go in there all blasted.
Yeah, that's true. And you know, it's and Craig can tell you too, you get up there and you start hitting it right from the top, people are gonna be paying attention, they're gonna be listening, and getting the applause and all that at the end ain't gonna be no problem. But I do a lot of gigs with a lot of jazz cats, and the jazz guys they have a different philosophy. They actually get ticked off if they're playing and somebody's sitting there and they're talking. And I told dude one time, I said, well, if you were playing something they wanted to hear, they would have shut up and then listened to you. It's simple as that.
True that.
Yeah, you obviously weren't playing anything they wanted to hear, so they either went to the bathroom or they started talking to who was sitting next to them.
Oh, brilliant. And what I'm going to do now, Tony, I'm going to go over to play, because I've chosen a track that you played with Santana, and then I've chosen one of your more recent ones. So I've chosen All Is One, that you played out recently, and then the track that you played with Santana, Spread Your Wings. I particularly love Spread Your Wings. It's just so poignant on so many levels. I mean, there was so much to choose from both of you, so I thought I'd choose 2 or 3, you know, keep it fair between everyone. But what I'd like to do now is to go over, ladies and gents, to play an excerpt from Spread Your Wings. And just to remind you, you're listening to On the Sofa with yours truly, Esther Austin. I have Craig McMullen on the show with me, and also Tony Lindsay, 2 great cats. I love that word, cats.
Are you ready? Can you feel what's in my heart? My arms are open wide. Yeah. Are you ready? Oh.
Wow.
I love that song.
Wow, there's just so I would say it's loaded. You know, it's loaded with so many things. It's an emotive song. It's a poignant song.
Yeah.
It's a song with a message, and I mean, just share a bit more about that song, because there's something. I know Santana was a very sort of spiritual man, and you know, because when I've watched a lot of his interviews, he very much talks about I mean, yes, supernatural says it in itself.
Right.
He was a man who had a consciousness beyond, and that came out in his music. And I surmise that that's what you're about as well in your own way. So just tell us a bit about that track, please, Tony.
Well, it was actually we came up with that as in a rehearsal that we were doing, but I thought that definitely should have been one of the songs that was on the Supernatural CD. Why it didn't get on there, I don't know, but it was a perfect fit for it. And that's always been one of my favorite songs. It's you know, it was a pleasure writing it with him. And you know, I see some residuals every now and then. But yeah, I mean, all of the stuff that we did, it was always coming from a spiritual side with Carlos. You know? And he listens to music constantly. I mean, all the time. And 90, I would say probably 98 or 99% is all African music that he listens to.
Ah, that's interesting.
That's where he gets all of his spiritual whatever. Everybody thinking it's the Latin vibe. Oh no. He'll tell you. He said clave comes from Africa. That's what clave is. All the Latin music and African music is based on
absolutely.
Clave. And that's where it comes from. And people get ticked off with him all the time for saying that, because you know the Latin community wants to claim their own, but it's true.
Yeah.
The blues, everything we do comes from Africa.
Excellent. And so we've got a few people who are listening in. Just want to say hello. Sabrina Taylor. Hello, greetings, Sabrina.
Hey.
You know Sabrina Taylor. She's left a message. She said, Tony, great to see you again. Thank you, Sabrina. Fantastic. Then there's Facebook user says, so glad to tune in today. Esther, your interviews are always awesome. Keep up the great work. I'm coming to London in October. I'm sure hope to meet you in person. Oh, please reveal yourself, Facebook user. Please reveal who you are. Okay. And you know, there's an interesting correlation between yourself and Craig, and that Craig performed with Curtis Mayfield, and you were lead vocalist with Santana. Now, what was it like? I mean, you're both legends in your own right, because I very much believe that we meet legends, we are legends in our own right, and it's about us leaving a legacy for others as well, so that legacy continues. And one of the things I asked Craig, Tony, is what do you feel you took away from working with Santana all the years? What were some of the attributes that you walked away with?
Well, just watching the whole process of how they go about doing business and just taking care of things. You know, it's a lot of work, and Craig will tell you, it's, you know, especially people that are headliners. You know, I used to watch him, because the cool thing about it, I'm out front and kind of the main focus, but at the same time, I'm not. So I got to see a lot of stuff going on with him, with, you know, show days with him having to do a ton of interviews and all that that kind of stuff can wear you out. Yeah. You know, by the time you hit the stage, you're already beat, tired. You want to go to sleep instead of going and do a gig. But it's just a way to go about handling business in this music industry. And you know, that's pretty much what I took away from it. And now I'm an indie artist, I try to use a lot of those things that I've learned from being with Santana for 25 years.
Excellent. And Craig, if I may come to you as well, because this is brilliant. I mean, when you've it was just nice how you both greeted each other when you both
Oh, yeah.
you know. And if I may, what is it that's what is it that's inspired you about Tony? And I'm going to ask you the same thing about Craig. What is it that's either influenced or inspired you about what you see in each other or in each other's journeys?
Well, first of all, I'm not going to do it now, but I got to get Tony's digits so that we can communicate. Because I got a couple of things to ask him.
You got
But I'm not going to get into it because it's not part of the show per se. But I'm saying to myself, man, this dude's up here. He's singing with Santana. I'm like, he bombing it out, man. I'm like, whoa. I mean, now Curtis's music, we had certain grooves, etc., etc. But one thing about Curtis's music, it was more what I call somewhat more message-wise, you know.
right.
But now, what Tony was saying, and I'm saying, I'm still in school trying to get my BA in jazz studies at The Ohio State University. I'm almost finished, but some of the same exact things that he said about where the clave come from and all that stuff, this is stuff that they had, I put it like this, that they had to put in to the knowledge of the classes. And I say had to because you and Tony, no matter if you're in the UK and Tony's over there in Frisco Bay area, you know what I'm talking about.
That's right.
These universities, especially big time universities like OSU, they're not gonna kick me out, but I'm just saying they adapted some of these classes to teach about black music. So basically, he's telling the truth that everything originated from Africa because it came over. But we're not gonna get too much deep into that. But just let you know that he's telling you the truth, everybody. And I got my test papers to prove it.
Hey, well, you know what though, with Craig, with him, I mean, come on, Curtis Mayfield, really? Yeah, that's so. And Aretha Franklin, and I mean, it don't get no better than that. You know, I work out here. I work with Narda Michael Walden quite a bit too. And I know you know who Narda is, producer,
right?
And two things with Curtis. It was probably a few months before the accident happened with Curtis in New York City. He played at this club in Santa Cruz out here called the Catalyst.
Okay.
And the band I was with, we opened up for Curtis that day.
Oh, wow.
And then a few months later is when the accident happened. And then fast forward even then, Narda Michael Walden did a tribute to Curtis Mayfield CD.
Oh,
and they did all Curtis Mayfield tunes, and I'm one of the singers on the
okay.
Sing a lot of background and stuff on that CD.
Great. We'll have to check that out then, you know, because it's ironic that you say stuff like that, because I'm going to tell you this real quick. One of the first San Francisco gigs that I did with Curtis as a solo artist was at Winterland.
Oh.
And the opening act was Tower of Power.
Here you go.
Tower of Power had not been, actually, I don't know if they took a little sabbatical or whatever, but the way the vibe went was that this is their first gig back into the Bay Area. I don't have to tell you the rest. Now they opened up with that tremendous horn play. It was the Tower of Power, the Arcade, and Curtis Mayfield, and we were laughing. So now the first part I'm getting ready to say, and Tony knows what I'm talking about. You hear this tremendous horn section and kicking rhythm, and like I got to meet Dave Garbardi, you know, et cetera, and Priesty and all them cats. Man, it's like, do you really want to go on after that? Like, whoa! Then come the Barcades, and then we came last. But the people accepted because Curtis's messages, and in other words, like if you playing, just like you said about the jazz guy, if you playing something they want to hear, they will listen. And so even though I was backstage and I was just like in heaven listening to Tower of Power, I knew that when we got up to play last, and the people were real accepting of what our message and our music was, you know, but still, man, the horns, man, we like, and we're playing the cut down version, you know, we like the black rock band, 2 guitars, bass drums, and percussion, you know, but we held our own. I put it like that, we held our own, but I know what you're talking about, man. That's
but you guys, man, Curtis Mayfield, really? Come on now. I mean, I love Tower of Power and the Barcades too, but Curtis Mayfield, that's a different level of stuff there.
Yeah.
You know,
and so like another thing I'd like to interject into you that also that Master Henry Gibson, the percussion player. Now you play, you know, I don't know how many percussion players you have with Santana, maybe, I don't know, I'll let you tell me. But point being is that Master Henry, when you hear him on a record and everything else, he was able to play all that at one time, no overdub. Everything he did, I mean, he had his twist cakes, he had his bongos and congas and tumbas. He played the same way that you hear on the record. If you look at any of our live performances, he's doing the same thing. One guy playing all those different drums, and when he go to twist cakes, he would do that. He was an amazing guy. But I'm talking about rhythmically wise, the rhythm that you guys play in with Santana, man, if that don't get you, you don't know what to say.
We had two cats, Carl Perazzo, who's still he's still with Santana. He's a timbal player, and Raul Rico, who was passed on, was the conga player. But we had Armando Perazzo.
Okay.
And I mean, with that Santana band, they had some percussionists. And I remember Carlos telling the story about when they first came out, and Evil Ways was Evil Ways and Black Magic Woman were the first ones that kind of came out of the block. He said they pushed all the percussion stuff up in front, so that was driving the music, and that's what did it. Because people weren't used to hearing all that percussion that far out in front of the music. He said that's what drove all the Santana stuff. Yeah, you know, hearing that percussion coming out with the conga drums, sending messages back to Africa and all that kind of stuff. Music is a beautiful thing, man. I am so glad that I'm not doing anything else. And I could have done a lot of different things, and I'm sure you could have too. But it's just something about music that I walk around with a smile on my face all the time.
Speaks to the soul. It's a soul thing, isn't it? It's a, you know, if you allow it, it's a soul thing, and it can speak to so many different aspects of our lives. You know, when we're down, when we're in love, when we're going through this music that can touch every aspect of our experience and our soul. And also music in itself is cathartic, it's healing. It's so many things if we allow it. If we just allow more of it as well into our life, not just one, because I love rock, and people will say, you know, sometimes on my show, I remember I did a show some years ago, and sometimes I would lay down a bit of rock, and I'd have to say over the mic, yes, you are listening to On the Sofa, don't switch off, but sometimes I just have to go there, because you know, there's different genres speak to in different places within us.
One of the biggest thing that really bothers me these days is, you know, with our school systems and all that, one of the first things that they take out of their curriculum and programs is music. And you know what? The kids don't have that balance like we had when we were coming up. You know, I played sports. I did music all the time. You got to have that, the arts. If you don't have the arts in there with the balance, and, you know, it's like they're missing so much with the kids these days.
Absolutely. And what we're going to do now, we're going to come back. We're going to just go for a short break. But when we come back, I also want to, because you've touched on something that I want to just take into the next conversation about how you've both experienced and come through the lockdown, the global lockdown, how that affected, influenced you, because as it goes back to the importance of music, it goes back to the importance of creativity and how that's helped a lot of us through that period. So ladies and gents, you're listening to On the Sofa with yours truly, Esther Austin. I have the absolute pleasure of talking to Greg McMullen and Tony Lindsay. Yeah. Here we go.
Sound immediately rearranges the molecular structure of the listener.
When people hear that, they say, here comes Cosmic Carlos.
It's okay. There's something about music that makes your hair stand up. Behold, it rearranges your molecular structure.
Last summer, after decades off the music charts, his album, Supernatural, became one of the bestsellers of the year. The album's first single, Smooth, was co-written by 27-year-old Rob Thomas from the group Matchbox 20. He wasn't even born when Santana first hit it big.
Give me your heart and make it real, or else forget about it.
Trust me, I got next.
Call me when you want it, lady.
Headlines don't try and hide your swag. And I can't afford to be without you, babe. So you can love me, babe.
It's time to make it right between you and me. If you need a friend, you can count on me. I will lend a hand any day or night. I feel the same way that you do. The changes we're going through, I hope someday we all will see. You got a brother in me. Sing it with me, family. All is one. Hey, my people, we are one. Come on, sing it from your heart, baby. All is one. My people, we are one.
Okay, people.
Man, you have me rocking up in here.
About that.
I'm in here dancing myself.
You know that particular track, Tony. For me, it brought up. Yes, we were talking about people, us being in and coming through the pandemic, and even what's happening on the other side of it. But also, you talked about where you live now, and living around people who are more trusting. So it's almost like all of that seems to fit into the theme of that particular track. Now, just tell us a little bit more about that, because I think that this came out last year. Is it? Am I correct?
2020.
Yeah. So was that?
It went straight to #1 too at the independent charts.
Oh wow, fantastic! Well done. Woo!
Yeah. And you could, as you can tell, there was a lot of my Santana influence in that song.
Yes,
and
definitely.
That's where it came from. You know.
And sorry, apologies.
No, go ahead.
And was that as a result of what we were going through? Because it seemed quite significant in terms of what we were going through at the time, the lockdown being one, or was...
It's funny you said that, because that tune was actually written by me and my producer, by a guy named Randy Yamada, who lives down in LA. We wrote that song. I was still with the Santana band. That song had to be at least 15 years old. And when the pandemic hit, we were working on my new CD, which is done now. I'm going to release it in October. And I said to Randy, I said, hey, man, didn't we write a tune back a while ago that is actually would be perfect to fit right now? I said, it's called All Is One. He says, hold on. He's sitting in front of his computer at the time. And he goes back. He says, here it is right here. I said, send it to me. So he sent it to me, and I changed a few of the lyrics on it. And we recut the tune, and we put it out like 2 months later. It was out on the streets.
Wow, brilliant!
It fit in the pandemic time. It was the perfect time to put that song out. And we still need stuff like that, because people still really haven't learned that they need to do the right thing and go get the vaccine right now. It's like, come on, you guys. Do we want to continue to live and support each other, or you want to see a bunch of people there's so many people dying now from this thing? It's crazy.
Yes. And I guess then this goes into, how did you both experience? I mean, what was that experience like? And also, did you create anything new? Did you write a book? Craig, I'll go to you. Because last year the whole world was on lockdown. So how did you experience that?
Well, for me, because I was still enrolled in school, I wouldn't go out the house. And fortunately, they had what they call Zoom classes. They should have been having Zoom classes every year I was there, which is about 20 now. But, now I don't have to go out the house. I can just hit the computer like we are here and then you see everybody same way. And so basically, I wasn't playing any bands. Some bands were still trying to play, but I don't really do a lot of local stuff anyway. It's like even before the pandemic or anything else, I would never get a lot of calls from people in Columbus here. And I was always, if anything, I would be doing some recordings, or I'd go someplace else, to play on, I don't want to say it like this, but basically on another level. And when I say that, I mean not the local level. And nothing's wrong with the local level, but I'm just saying, would I go out with Aretha Franklin or somebody like that? Yeah, instead of playing with Joe Blow, he's playing around here at the corner at the joint, Okay, I got you, forget that. But basically because of the pandemic, and some of the guys were pressed. Now, the only thing I can say is that I'm not rich or anything, but I'm not pressed. And I think that's the best thing in life, that I'm not pressed. And as long as the rappers keep on doing certain things, and also the TV shows and stuff like Blackish and Snowfall, stuff like that, where the one fortunate thing about that Superfly music, not that that's the only one that's ever been in movies, but the majority of my stuff comes from that I've been able to get. I have over 20, I think about 24, 25 movies that have, that I can get what I call that hamburger. I don't eat meat, but I'm just saying that French fry milkshake. So I'll be able to take 20 to get a milkshake and some French fries with them checks I get. So like if I get a check, from on the rappers thing, which usually they call that special payments fund and so forth, just like the Joy with Kanye West and Jay-Z. Well, that Joy music features the music of Curtis Mayfield from the live album, the live version of Makings of You. They use that for the Joy. And just like you alluded to earlier, that if you listen to Tupac, and I'm just naming him because he's one of the great rappers, that him doing Late Night features that music off of the Donald Byrd album, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm kind of fortunate to be able to do these things, and these checks come in here and there. Like I said, I'll make sure I get you guys these French fries and milkshakes and stuff.
You know what I'm saying?
But basically,
I want some tartar sauce on my fish fry too.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to really play out a lot. I don't miss it because I think that at my young age now, I don't want to get out here and die unnecessarily. You know what I'm saying? So I have my shot and everything, but basically that's how it affected me. I just spent more time and I studied, and I did good in school, so I didn't get a chance to like have it really affect me no more than I wasn't playing with a lot of people anyway in Columbus, so it was cool like that. But I stay in touch with like all my friends, just like when you alluded to the Watts Hunter and Third Street Band, etc. And then my buddy James Gatson, which everybody should know about him. He's playing on one of those songs anyway. So these are the kind of, I have that conversation with him all the time. Andre Fisher, Reggie Dozier, which is Lamont Dozier's brother, the ace engineer, the Grammy of the Year for mixing Outkast's album. And Reggie, everybody knows about Reggie. He done recorded everybody from Miles Davis to Michael Jackson, everything else. So I have conversations with friends, and I'm going to include Tony in on some of this stuff too. But I have friends like that that's in the industry that I can stay in touch with. So I'm not necessarily out of the loop, but I'm not physically playing right at the present time.
You're always in the loop. Are you kidding? you got the biggest loop that anybody can get. And with me, with the pandemic, I didn't feel I got so much accomplished. I wrote 11 songs during that year that we were shut down, and these are the 11 songs that are on the new CD that's coming out, the new album.
Let me know about that, Tony. Yes, send that.
It's called Soul Soldier. That's the title of the CD.
Soul Soldier.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I took all my time and just, because the government was actually kind of taking care of us since they shut us down. They kind of had to give us some money and stuff. So I just looked at it as the government was my record company during the pandemic. They were paying me to write some music, and that's exactly what I did, man. And tell you, and plus we were doing, like Craig could tell you, a lot of the Zoom stuff. I did a lot of Zoom party. People could be home with their significant others, or if they wanted to invite some of their friends into a Zoom party, and just like with this. They sent a link. People were making donations to the band that was playing. We would be set up in a location. they could see us on Zoom and sit there and enjoy their bottle of wine and their food while they were checking the music out.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Wow, this is incredible. And I guess the next question is, where to now? Where to for you, Tony? I don't think any of you are gonna ever come out of music. It's in your blood, it's in your soul. That's it. So where to now? You've got this new album coming out.
Yep.
Craig, you're studying. So yeah, where to now with all of this?
Well, let Craig go first.
Okay, now for me, because I'm still in school and I'm almost finished. I won't get into anything else about that, but I'm saying I'm almost finished. Now, the thing is that once I get my degree, I always tell my grandkids I'm gonna make an airplane out of it and I'm gonna fly it and see where it lands. But honestly, I would like to say that I'm setting up my equipment so I can redo a studio thing. And anybody who wants to Craig McMullen playing on their tracks,
there you go.
Negotiate all of that, and that's what I'm gonna be doing. So it's like Tony, we're still gonna be in the loop no matter what. But because I'm dedicated to the school, but not to the point where I'm not gonna play. Don't get me wrong, because I'm not gonna say nothing about my experience of going to college. But I will say that I'm not gonna let it stop me doing anything. If somebody wants me to do something and they send me, I've had stuff sent to me from Japan, etc., etc. So that's what I'm going to be trying to do as far as after everything, and just do it like that. In other words, I'm plugging myself to let everybody out there on the sofa land know that, oh, you guys, you want some guitar? You can send me the chart because I can read, and I'll put my magic on it. And if that's cool with you, it's definitely going to be cool with me.
There you go.
That's it. Oh,
that's the way things are going down these days.
Yeah.
We finally discovered you don't have to be in the same place to get stuff done anymore. So, unfortunately, it's nice when we can have everybody together, because that brings out a different thing. But you know what? We have to use the resources that we have right now.
Absolutely.
And I'm really just, I doing the 25 years with Santana, it helped me put myself in a position. But like Craig was saying, I'm not a rich man, but I'm in good shape. And so the only thing I have to do now is just concentrate on me and my music, and I'm having so much fun with the. I've had 4 #1 singles come independent from stuff that I've been putting out, and right now they're playing 2 of my songs.
Excellent.
Yeah, 2 of them, and the 2 that they're playing are gonna be on the CD. But there's 2 songs being played at one time now, and I'm totally digging it. One is called Life Partner, and the other is called Fixed.
Oh, okay. Well, share a bit more. You can't just give us the titles and just leave it like that.
Well, Life Partner came from there's an incident that just happened with a famous couple. I ain't gonna name no names. That some things started happening, and one of them got busted, and then they had a little meeting with each other and decided that they still did love each other and just wanted to remain to be life partners. So when I heard that, I went, man, that's a good title for it too. And I took off with it and wrote that. And the other one, Fixed, has something to do with, with me. You see this lady and she just knocks you out and that's it. You fixed on her. That's it. You can't see anything else but her. The lingerie she wears, the perfume she wears, all that stuff. You in the middle of the afternoon, you having lunch, and all of a sudden you're smelling this perfume that she's wearing, and she ain't even anywhere around you.
Wow. Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
I think you gotta keep going, because I'm looking at the meter ratings, etc. Now, if you add a couple little names and so forth, I think Esther show will go down. But it might take us out of the PG classification. But I'm just letting you know, if we talk about telling everybody they can make donations, if Tony goes out and gives up their names, up donations in here, he's gonna talk. He's gonna talk. I'm telling you right now.
Depending on how much they donate, I'll give up the info.
Yeah, you want that info? Come on, donate to Esther on the show.
Oh wow, donations. Let's just put a note out then. Donations, please.
I want to come to London and perform too.
Well, we can talk.
I did one thing at Pizza Express back a while ago, but You know, I got a friend over there that's doing very well. You probably heard of him, Cornell Carter.
Okay.
No, yeah, he's over there quite a bit. But I want to get over there too. And I want to thank Mr. Darrell Anders for recommending me with this interview, and you know, especially now that I'm here with Mr. Craig McMullen. Are you kidding me?
There we go. So this is what I'm going to put out, ladies and gents. Note.
There you go.
I like this show. This is a different, Esther, this is a different type of interview that I've ever done.
Exactly.
I mean, I've never done an interview like this before. But I mean, I'm not saying that you ought to have us back on, but
yes,
yeah, you should have us back on, because we could make a thing out of this, because this is what you call real live.
That's
it's
right.
Like top of the head, and people like listening to us and say, what?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I mean, this is like, I really appreciate this. I had to tell you, I love this. You know, I'm being here with Tony. I'm like, oh man, you know, like I don't know everybody, and I didn't know Tony till now. But point being is that this kind of communication back and forth with us three, this is something I'm enjoying this. You know,
you know what I love about it? There's no, I don't know if Esther has some questions prepared, but I tell people when they tell me with the interview, I said, don't send me any questions, because I just like being spontaneous. What comes off, the first thing that comes out, that's the for real stuff.
Absolutely.
I don't like to mix in the studio.
Yeah, I don't want to be sitting there making up in that. Well, no, I better not say that. No, when it comes out, it comes out. So whatever people are hearing, that's it right now.
And that's why that's why I call it a conversation, because I don't do scripted. I mean, on occasion I might just send through a brief synopsis of what we may talk about, but I like the flow. It's almost like, you're sitting on the sofa, so we're having a conversation, and that's what I like. And I usually say it's like divine inspiration. And what I've noticed, like I said, are those moments when the artists do stay on, and we've just had, I've just sat back and sweated and think, wow, look at this. All these legends honoring each other and, just so happy to be in each other's presence. It's just like, as you guys in the States said, awesome.
I love that accent. You hear that accent, Craig?
Yeah, I checked it out. I told her, I said I was really enthused about doing this interview, because I thought I was going to be on the sofa with her.
Watershed.
I had to keep it PG.
It's 9:30 in the UK. You got half an hour before you can go into any of that type of conversation, Craig.
I'm not going to get you taken off the air.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say that you're listening to On the Sofa with Esther. Thank you to all those who've left messages. Now we've got a message from Whittington Steele.
Yes.
She is an incredible indie artist. People usually say that she sounds like Phyllis Hyman. So you got to check her out.
Yeah, look at her picture there. She look cute too.
It's not 10 o'clock, Tony. Wait a minute. It's not 10 o'clock, Tony. Save that Superfly Max stuff to after 10.
I'm flying over to the UK just to see her now.
She's in the States. She's in the States. She's in the States. Right. So to make sure that you guys behave yourself, I'm going to go over to a break, and then when we come back, we'll continue this.
It's not going to work
because it looks like it's going down an avenue. So I might have to do some cuts.
No, we're good. We're good. We got you. Don't worry. We won't do that.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we're just going to go over now to a couple of trailers. One's from the Stubbs Girls. They're the family of the late Levi Stubbs, and they've done a remake of Standing in the Shadows of Love.
Hi, this is Duke Fakir, and I'm one of the Four Tops. I'd like to present to you one of the most up-and-coming great groups of all times, a family called the Stubbs Girls. And evidently, Levi Stubbs' genes has passed right down into his wonderful family. Now, you really better take a listen, because this album is going to knock you out. Duke Four Tops. Here they are, folks, the Stubbs Girls.
It's Keto on the beat.
Now about me now. No, baby, it's not gonna. Ain't gonna help me now.
On Wednesday, the 8th of September, Romina Johnson will be performing live with full band at the 229 on London's Great Portland Street. Doors open at 7:30 p.m. For more information and tickets, head over to 229.london or eventbrite.co.uk and search for Romina Johnson live at the 229. It's gonna be funky.
Hello, this is Terry Thompson, and I just want to say thank you to my sister Esther Austin for this amazing article that you put in this amazing magazine in the summer edition of Turning Point. Hey, if you haven't picked up your copy, go out and get it. Amazing magazine. There's a lot of good information in here, a lot of great articles, a lot of interesting people. So support us as we support you. That's what we know how. Black Royalty, Turning Point Magazine.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to On the Sofa with Esther. In the last 20 minutes of the show, just a reminder, I've got Craig McMullen joining me. McMullen, right? And also Tony Lindsay joining me in the studio. And that's my son ringing the bell, and he knows that I'm doing a show.
Is he want some dinner or something? What's he?
No, I think he must have locked himself out. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave you to just have a conversation until I come back. Apologies.
No problem.
But as they say, the show must go on. Live radio, live TV.
So, Craig, I gotta hear some more stories from you, man. That's some serious history you got, man.
Yeah, man. Like I said, from Curtis Mayfield, or actually started with the Impressions. I don't know if you heard in the very beginning, but I started with the Impressions, and then Curtis broke off as solo.
Right.
Back with the Curtis album that he did by itself. So that was how that happened. But playing with Aretha Franklin. I also played with Marvin Gaye. Check this out, Tony. I was playing with Marvin Gaye. They had a big orchestra. Jameson was playing bass, and it was like all-star band. Ray Parker was playing guitar with me, and so forth and so on. Joe Sample was playing keyboard.
Wow.
They had a horn section out of Fort Lauderdale. But the opening act was Bob Marley, and the Wailers was the opening act in this stadium that had to have at least 150,000 in it. And Bob Marley, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I'm getting ready to see Bob Marley for a few days as we tour around Jamaica. This is like heaven,
Yes, it is.
You're back, Esther. Okay.
No, that's good. It wasn't my son, actually. It was just delivery. Uber Eats. No, not for me. Okay, well, no, continue the conversation. It's interesting because they've got a Bob Marley, they've got a Bob Marley production that's opening up in October in the UK. So I'm trying to muscle my way into press night to see that, because that should be incredible, absolutely incredible. Because he was a legend on so many levels, and he was an activist and a man with a message, and he just weren't playing.
They all died too soon too.
Yeah. But do you think sometimes that, because you got people like Michael Jackson, Prince, Bob Marley, Amy Winehouse, people of that, they're geniuses.
Yeah.
Geniuses. And maybe it's just set that they come down here to express that. So that the rest of us, sometimes us that are sort of, with the, slacking, it's almost like, just rising up. This is who you could become. This is who you can step into.
It's just amazing the things that people like, Prince and Michael Jackson and Whitney Houston and Amy Winehouse,
Jimi Hendrix.
That short amount of time that they had, and the amount of stuff that they achieved, and it just keeps going way past time. It's all gonna be in. All of them died so young.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that sometimes the bad part about any of that stuff is, and Tony can attest to this too, that if you look for what I call the young bops, I call them young bops, you know, like who is going to be that person to identify with themselves as opposed to copying? In other words, like,
exactly.
The Rolling 808 never got an award for all the drum Grammys that came out for the rap hip hop music.
That's right.
The Japanese invented the Rolling 808. They never got a Grammy. So what am I saying? That you eliminate guys like James Gasson or Andre Fisher or Harvey Mason or other people that would normally be playing on stuff. It's almost like you're committing your own demise, but it's not your fault. Just like Tony said earlier, when I was earlier on in school, like elementary school and probably with Tony too, they would tell you go to the band room, pick you out an instrument, and you could start studying at that early age. Now they've eliminated for whatever political reasons. So I can't blame people for going to the best way they can get the music, and if it's through sequencing and sampling, that's what they got to do, you know. But the only thing about it is that we hear this music, and everybody's on this auto-tune thing, and so they never have developed. But if you're a rapper, you don't necessarily have to be. I don't expect you to be a singer if you're going to be a rapper, you know.
Right.
But, those are the things that happens, and this is why we had the music of today. But there's always going to be, like, you don't hear any drum machines in rock and roll music, and you don't hear drum machines in certain other genres of country and western, you know. So there is still going to be a need, and people really want, like, if you put a band behind somebody and go out and play, they're going to come jam to that, you know. Like, track dates is one thing, but at the same time, people like to hear that live sound. And so I think if we persevere enough, it'll get back to where that becomes more dominant as this pandemic thing relaxes itself. But right now, we're just crossed up between these sequence stuff, and not that it's bad to use them, but if you can.
Oh, what's happened?
He's frozen.
Can't use live.
Let's come back.
Me?
Yeah, you're back now.
Good?
You're
There you
frozen.
go.
There you go.
Okay.
You were frozen in time.
It was the sampling people that did that.
But you know what? I totally agree. What I'm hoping that happened during the pandemic too is that a lot of the young ones picked up an instrument and learned how to play. You know, instead of sampling everybody's stuff and then throwing something. You know, these some of this music, actually most of the music today drives me crazy because all they got is these little 4 or 8 bar loops playing the same doggone thing over and over, and they just put some kind of little rap thing on the top of it and all that and claim it as a song. Is, you know, that's not a song. Songs have intros. They got a verse. They got a little B section or whatever to set up the chorus and all. They got a bridge in them. Those are songs. And the lyrics is telling a story.
Yeah.
That's the song. And you have a nice melody to it. You know, think about what you're doing instead of just, you know, the kind of stuff they're putting out today, man. We could probably sit around and write 20 songs in a day with no problem.
But isn't that then where, you know, initially when I spoke about legends, that's where you guys come in, because you're holding the fort to hold on to music that's not just great to listen to, but it's meaningful. I would say it's this pop puree of everything. And that's why it's so important to support yourselves as artists. And it's so important for you to share your journey, the history, the experiences of, you know, working with legends, because then you become a legend yourself as you do all of that. And I've got about 5 minutes left, gentlemen, and I've got another message coming through. Whittington says, yes, real music. What I'd like is, because I know we spoke just now, and Tony, I've got to put you on the spot again. We talked about live music, real music.
Yes.
Would you give us a rendition, please?
A rendition? You want me to sing something?
Yes. Come on, Craig. Back me up. Come on, Craig.
Is that right?
Come on, Tony. Come on.
Wow. See, you put me on the spot. I would have been thinking something to sing, but
it was Craig's idea. It was Craig's idea. Or maybe you can pretend that you're playing the guitar. Craig, come on, you guys come up with something. I've got 5 minutes left before the end of the show.
Let me see. You got me. You stumped me.
Okay, well,
because I don't want to sing anything that ain't gonna be right, you know.
Right.
Okay. Then I guess
Esther, we're gonna put you on the spot. We want you to sing, and I'll pick up my guitar if you start singing.
No, we have to practice first.
Practice. Who needs like Allen Iverson? Tony knows what I'm talking about. I don't know if you know about NBA basketball, but Allen Iverson. Practice. Who needs practice?
Exactly. Yeah, we did all that practice a long time ago. But here's a good one. It's all right. It's all right.
I'll clap.
Say it's all right.
It's guitar.
All right. It's all right. Have a good time. Because it's all right. Whoa, it's all right. And you feel the beat. Make bad your feet.
It's all right.
You got soul, everybody knows. And it's all right.
Oh, it's all right.
We got a delay there.
That's enough. I forgot. I forgot to mess up. But for all you tech heads out there, Tony was singing in the key of G.
Sometimes.
Okay, that's enough of that free stuff. Tony and I used to get him paid.
That's right.
That's what we used to get him paid. And all y'all people out there getting all this good free stuff, send them donations in to Esther on the sofa. And we'll see you the next time, I guess. Is that about the end of it?
We got to do this again. We have to. We definitely have to. Thanks for including me. I really appreciate this. This is great stuff.
I got one quick question to ask you, Tony.
Uh-oh.
Okay, your microphone right there. Now I have two Neumann U67s.
Ooh.
So now you know what you got to say about it. Now, is that I'm not going to put you on the spot, but what kind of microphone is that?
This is a Korean microphone called Studio Projects.
Oh, okay.
And I'm telling you, this thing sounds good with vocals, whether it's male or female, and any instrument that you play on it.
Okay.
You know, this I got some Neumanns too. I've been using the Neumann TLM 103 or something, but
okay.
the ones you got, you mind boxing them up and sending me one of them suckers? Or,
Esther, what he's trying to say is that the Neumann U67s are legendary microphones that everybody, Michael Jackson, everybody, in other words, they will kill somebody to sing their sessions on these. Actually, they were singing through them, but that's like you saw the old school good stuff, you know.
Okay. And this one here is a tube. It's a tube mic too.
Mic. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's it right there. But that was my last question that I wanted to ask because I kept on seeing. I said, I wonder what mic he's got right there. You know.
Oh, yeah, it's called Studio Projects. I love it. But Esther, could you do me a favor and forward Craig's email address to me, and
I will definitely
vice versa.
Hook us up, Esther. Hook us up.
Yeah,
I will do. Okay, so I've asked for more donations so that you two can just finish this damn song that you were singing. And for your request, guys, so you want me to forward your request, so that is PR, so I will send you the bill for linking you together.
There you go.
Right. Okay, there we go. So
be careful in Ohio there.
Oh yeah. All right.
You already know what I'm talking about too.
Oh yeah. I definitely know what you're talking about.
I think Dave Chappelle lives there too, doesn't he? The comedian.
Yeah, he lives. Matter of fact, quick thing on Dave Chappelle. I was playing in a club doing a little jazz gig. And Dave stays down in Yellow Springs, which is down by Central State, et cetera, outside of Dayton. Dave comes in the club by himself. No entourage, no nothing.
Right.
And I say to everybody, It's Dave Chappelle. So I go up and talk to him. I mean, dude was cool, man. I mean, he was like super cool. And he was by himself, you know, no entourage type of stuff that you might think he would have. And he wasn't funny acting or nothing like that. And he was there, and everybody, they couldn't believe that Dave Chappelle came in this club.
That guy's a genius, man.
Yeah.
He is a great comedian.
On many levels, So you guys want me to link you together? That's the deal.
Yes.
It's in public.
Hey, you know.
No, you say in public. No, don't do that. You can hook us up later. I mean, you can go to Messenger and get it on now. I mean, you know, because you know, next thing you know, man, somebody's mama's baby might be coming around or so. I ain't got no time for that. I'm too old. You know. You know how people are.
Anybody that wants to, my website is always up, TonyLindsay.com.
Okay, brilliant.
Now, if you want me to play on some of your sessions, anybody, just get in touch with me through Facebook or through. You can, like I said, you can even go through Esther, whatever. For everybody in the UK, you can go through Esther or whatever. Just hook me up on Facebook. Let me know what your project might be, and I'll be glad to accommodate you for the future. That's our own public plug that we're doing, me and Tony. You know, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I'd just like to say a huge thank you for coming on the show today. I have enjoyed it. I have learned so much, and just wishing you both all the best. You know, these conversations also inspire me to keep moving, to keep moving towards wherever I need to be moving towards. And as I said initially, you know, this week's been an intense week on lots of different levels. Lots of things happened, especially there's been about 3 accidents that's happened around me, yada, yada. But the main thing is, you know, sometimes there are messages in everything that happens, and it's what we do with it. And so, yeah, it's just about keep on moving forward, keep on inspiring. And that's why I love doing my show, because I can sit, you know, at the feet. It's almost like I'm sitting at the feet of my elders and listening to some great stuff. And, you know, I've got my cup of tea here and my biscuits.
What kind of biscuits?
That's a straight UK talk right there. Biscuits, okay. Tea and biscuits.
That's
you know what you got? Because we say potpourri here, and you said it differently when
potpourri.
Potpourri. See, I love. See, I love that.
Potpourri. Okay.
Potpourri. Yeah.
And we call it potpourri.
Potpourri. It's just like when I come to the States, and I remember when I go there, I always link up with Lamont McLemore from the Fifth Dimension, because I wanted to taste grits, and then he took me to McDonald's. Now in London, when you ask for McDonald's, you get 1, 2, 3 done. And they said, do you want gravy? Do you want biscuits? I'm like, biscuits? I just want a breakfast. Do you want gravy on it? What do you mean gravy? It's 9 o'clock in the morning. It was just crazy. You know,
wow.
You know, and then I go into a store and I just want something to eat, and you got thousands of sandwiches, or you got thousands. I just want a drink.
They believe in variety here in this country, which is interesting sometimes.
Absolutely. But on that note, I'd just like to say once again, thank you, gentlemen. Ladies and gents, you've heard what Craig and Tony have said. You know, if you want to Craig is open to working with yourselves, artists. So, you know, find out, Craig, come through me if you want their connections, their details. Right. And also Tony's got some new stuff out. Let me know about the new album. Tony, it'd be a pleasure to play that, because there's a new show that's coming out on Ellen So Radio. It's a new TV music video show that I will be presenting, as well as Anthony B. Williams from the station, and also KJ. She's used to sing with Odyssey. So there's lots more coming up. So on that note, I'd like to say thank you both. Wishing you both a fantastic.
My brother and sister, it was a pleasure meeting both of you. Craig, we're gonna keep in touch. And Esther too. We gotta all keep in touch, please.
Most definitely. And there's another message from Marcella Oliver. We got to give recognition to the amazing musicians in showbiz. Nice work. Thank you so much for that recognition. So on that note, thank you, gentlemen. Have a fantastic weekend. And I will give you details outside of this. Peace.
Yes.
Thank you. See you.
Stay safe.
Stay safe.
All right.
Bless you both. Thank you.
Okay. See ya. Thank you.
Bye. Right, ladies and gentlemen, as we wind down the last 10 minutes of the show, once again, I enjoyed talking to these gentlemen. I learned so much. And, I've got to be honest with you, sometimes I don't always have time to fully research the artists that I interview. But the beauty is when I do things in this conversational way, I learn so much. I learn so much as part of the process of speaking to them. So, who have we got lined up for you next week? Well, fingers crossed, eyes crossed. I will be talking and interviewing the 3 Degrees. I interviewed them a couple of months ago. They were so funny. So they should be on next week, along with John Sly Wilson from Sly, Slick and Wicked, and also a very good friend of mine, Tony Jazz. He's a bespoke lifestyle manager. He was a former head butler at the Savoy Hotel. The Savoy is one of the most prestigious hotels in the UK. So he's going to come on and he's going to be talking about some bespoke tours that he's doing and some of the other incredible stuff that I'm sure you'd like to find out, especially if you would like to do or to host a lovely evening, a lovely meal for your loved one. He is the man to go to. So looking forward to that. And then on the 19th, I will be doing a show with tribute artists and also artists who do covers. And at the end of the month, remember I said, Babe Wright, independent artist Babe Wright is going to be on with the legend Gerald Alston and the Manhattans. So I'm looking forward to lots more yummy stuff as we move through the month of September. Shauna. Oh, hello, Shauna. Hello, Shauna Hall Williams. Shauna also does an incredible show herself. You could check her out on Facebook and see what she's doing. This message is from Marcella Oliver. Keep up the great work. Have a safe Labor Day weekend. Okay, thank you. And also, I just want to encourage you to check out what's happening on LN Soul Radio. There's lots of fabulous shows during the week. We have DJ Double Trouble. I can't remember the exact days he's on. There's DJ Double Trouble. There's KJ Sings. She's on a Tuesday, if I remember correctly. There's Charmaine X, who hosts a reggae show on a Sunday. There's also the Juxtaposition show, which is just before mine. There's the Angela Lee show. She does a lot of inspirational stuff. And then there's Anthony B. Williams. He has a show on a Sunday and a Saturday, but also on a Friday with DJ Mr. Carlos. They have the Mayhem show where they interview lots of different artists, especially indie artists, neo soul artists. And it's a show where it's full of banter. So do go on to www.lnsoulradio.com, the website, or just go on to our group page on Facebook. Well, Shauna, or look at you, always showing love, but you got to show love because what you give out is what you get back. And sometimes I believe the universe also challenges you. So in winding down, like I said, I've had an interesting week. Not going to share too much other than on Wednesday, I just got a call. Had a call from my son. And it's one of those moments where you get that call and the phone goes dead, and you just wonder if you're going to see your child alive. It was something like that, and just lots of things happened. But he's fine. But all I'm saying to you is that we just never know what's around the corner. And in this time, what I'm recognizing and realizing is because of the pressures of life, the pandemic, the vaccines, things that are happening around that, people not working. I feel this whole reset. There's also an energy of lawlessness in people. There's an energy of fear. There's an energy of confusion. And you're seeing that in people's faces. I'm seeing that in people's energy. And all I'm saying is to not just stay safe from the pandemic, but also your mind. Look after your mind. Look after your soul. Mental well-being is so important. And from what I'm seeing, a lot of people don't seem to have anything to lose anymore. Is that making sense? And so if you pray, if you meditate, do so, because I do believe that this is a time This is a great reset for all of us to sit in front of the mirror, to look at the man in the mirror, to understand who we are, to find out what we really want out of life, but also as protection. Shailene, Shay. Hello. Another good friend of mine. Hello. Thanks for tuning in. And Shauna, praise God, he is all right. And so you are so right. Thank you. And so basically my message today is to simply just be true to yourself, be honest with yourself, find integrity with yourself. And, I had someone knock my door, my neighbor. And I got to say, I might not always be like the Buddha because I really wanted to beat her ass. But I just had to be really firm, had to speak my truth. But towards the end, I had to bring some level of peace in it. But, you can see when people carry an energy that's not nice, an energy that's dangerous, an energy that it's not a judgment, but it's a reality. And that's why I keep saying we have to pray. We have to, but if you fast, you fast. If you meditate, because this is a time of personal self-reflection. This is a time when if you pray and fast, then you protect yourself, you protect your family, but then you send it out into the world. You see what's happening in Afghanistan. You saw what happened in Haiti. You see what's happening all over the world. There is an energy of restlessness or lawlessness. And if we all would come together, having the faith of a mustard seed, if we all would come together and just put out that energy, whether you call that energy prayer, whatever it is, we can protect ourselves and we can protect and into the lives of others. Anyway, that's my preachy for this evening. Just like to say thank you to all who tuned in this evening. And if you would like to also find out more about my magazine, Turning Point to Your Lifestyle, Your Wellbeing, the author issue, currently working on that. It's going to have a totally new look. And who is going to be fronting that? Babe Bright, the indie artist Babe Bright. So on that note, I'm going to go over, right, there are people that have the mindset of nothing to lose and their agenda is more centered but hide and play on with no truth. So we must be careful. Yeah, absolutely. So on that note, ending with lots of love to my guests, and sending a big thank you to Anthony B. Williams and also to my sons, my granddaughter, and see you same time, same place next week. Get your brand in front of the right audience. In the summer issue of Turning Point, Your Lifestyle, Your Wellbeing magazine, the theme, #Black Royalty. What does this mean to you? We cover health and well-being, fashion, art, spirituality, and exclusives from around the world. Great advertising and sponsorship opportunities are available now. For further information, contact info@turningpointmag.com.
It's ready for neo-soul sensation, singer, songwriter, artist Daniela Jordan, aka DLJ, coming to a venue near you soon.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, on that note, as I say, peace out. I'm trying to find the video to end the show. Where is it?
Are you ready?